Hey up and welcome to the set of 6 Rugby League Outsiders. My name's Craig.
And my name's Karl, and on this week's set of 6 we're going to be talking about State of Origin kicking off in the Women's Rugby League. Cornwall have picked up the first win of the season and London have heaped yet more misery on Hull FC.
Okay, welcome to this week's set of 6. Now, you may notice that this one is not live. We've pre-recorded it. We're testing a few things to see what works best. And we're hoping that by doing this, all right, we lose the ability to comment, but we also gain the ability to improve the quality and make sure the sound's sorted, because we've had a couple of moments where the sound's been fooked up and we don't like it. So an awesome week this week, Karl, in rugby. So just so you know, I went off to witness a bit of quantum mania as Staffordshire Quantums played Sherwood Wolfhunt. And I'll be talking a little bit about that. And Karl, what did you get up to?
Well, I got my boots back on.
You did?
Yeah, back playing in Yorkshire. I had a game this week in an invitational game. I think that's why I'm going to put it. I've retired, but I play in invitational games only now. So yeah, I played in a memorial game in Bradford, which was great. And then I went to watch the 1895 Cup between Bradford and Wakefield, which was also a great spectacle.
Yeah, and a huge crowd was reported on the day as well. So it must have been a great atmosphere.
Well, a huge crowd wasn't reported, but there was certainly more in the ground.
No, it was. It was reported on the news. It was a huge crowd. So I don't know what was happening.
Well, in the ground, they said there were only 5,500 there. So somebody were lying, because there were Wakefield must have brought 5,000 with them. I went to watch Bradford V Wakey. It was a great occasion. Sun was out. Odsal looked tidy. They got rid of all the mud around the speedway track and started cleaning it up. So that was a bonus. Yeah, the wheelie bin had been moved from the tunnel, which we commented on before. We're a good game. Like good family atmosphere. There was plenty going on around the ground. All the inflatables, fairground rides. That's the sort of stuff that Bradford used to have years ago. Really good sort of carnival atmosphere around the ground. Wakefield, like I said, brought a load of fans, and it was a really good game.
Yeah, so as always, Karl has been in the interwebs and he's picked out 6 news stories, many of which are from outside the heartlands and quite interesting talking points, which we're going to talk about in this week's set of 6. Karl, what's been your criteria for picking stories this week?
Well, there's been a few big wins for teams outside the traditional heartlands in Cornwall and London, so they've sort of made the headlines. There's international fixtures being announced. And plus we've got the women's origin, a couple of women's stories as well this week.
Yeah, so let's get straight into tackle 1, which is...
Hang on a minute.
Whoa,
I haven't said the biggest news of the week yet.
What is the biggest news of the week?
I scored. And I do want to mention, actually, the game I went to play at Whipsey was a memorial game for my friend's dad, who sadly passed away this year. Every year at Whipsey we have a memorial game, so we get back all the old boys, which I'll call legends. And we played against the under-18s. And the old boys won, actually, by a try or 2, I think it was.
By your try?
Oh, it was one of the last tries of the game, yeah. It was.
I thought you'd turned your ankle or something.
Yeah, I did. I turned my ankle in the first quarter, but I just...
carried on playing like a true legend.
Yeah, I went off for a bit and I was thinking, well, I'm probably not going to play again for 12 months, so let's just dig in and play. And do you know what I realised this morning? I was thinking about some of the lads that I played with. Paul Bottomley, Brad McHale, they were in my first team that I played with Whipsy. I was like 7 or 8 year old. It's like 30 years later.
Wow.
We put a shirt back on again together. So yeah, it was great. I'll tell you another story, actually. Paul Bottomley, one of the lads that I played with, he was the famous streaker at the grand final in it was about 10 years ago now. I think it was a Leeds Saints final.
Did he get absolutely cleaned out by the stewards?
No, it was the one where he was running around the pitch for absolutely ages.
He got away with it.
And they didn't catch him. And he told me a little, because my wife said to me, she said, I've heard that Bots's name before, but I don't think I've ever seen him before. I went, do you remember when there was a streaker at grand final? She went, oh, is that him? And
Karl, what was he thinking behind doing the streak?
well, he'd had this is what I asked him actually. He'd had a load to drink,
Right,
and
of course.
And one of the lads said to him, I said, "I'll bet you 500 quid to
500 quid
to streak." And
Yeah.
he was like,
I'm in.
"Yeah." He went, "Yeah, all right, I'll do it." And then lad turned around and went, "Oh, I've only got 100 quid." And he was like, "Oh, well, I'm kind of half committed now."
So 100 quid.
100 quid, yeah.
And did he get into trouble like? Did he get charged?
Yeah, this is what I'm just had to get to. So they paid him 100 quid to do it.
Yeah.
He got caught by police, obviously. Got charged 90 quid. so he was 10 quid up for streaking at Old Trafford.
Okay, now that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I've never met a streaker before. Well, I have. I've met loads of streakers, but never like a big game like that. You know, it used to be a pastime in the Marines, just getting naked. Anyway, less of that. Right, let's get into this first story then. London, I'm chuffed to bits with this. Pick up their first win.
Yeah, so I didn't watch this game because this was same time I was watching the Bradford game. So yeah, London heaped more misery on Hull FC this week. Craig, you watched it. How did they go?
Well, I think London were well on top. I thought, you know, they were the better of the two teams. There were a couple of moments. I loved the fact that Ollie Leyland plucked this ball out of the air. I mean, he's one of the shortest players on the pitch, if not the shortest player on the pitch. He plucked this ball out of the air for the massive interception try. And I just thought, as a homegrown player that has come through the London ranks, you know, to score that try in a winning game, you know, a Super League game, it was just fantastic. I loved watching that. But I thought they were really resilient. I thought there was lots of cohesion. We know that London can throw some players together and they can catch people on the flanks, you know, and they just did lots of that. A little bit sad for Hull. Hull's demise. It's not something I'm enjoying at the minute, but you know, the only way is up for them. I really enjoyed the game. I enjoyed that game much more than some of the other more established Super League teams that were playing that weekend. It was just great to watch.
Because there was a story always developing there, wasn't there? And as we know, we love stories. So yeah, what was Hull's attitude like on the gate? Did they go out? Did they look like they were going out for the win, or were they defeated very easily?
I had Hull down to win, right? I thought because
I backed London.
Yeah, you backed London.
Yeah.
You fucking anyway. Less said about that, the better. I thought I saw promise in London last week, right? I thought, you know what, they've done all right. They were playing Warrington, weren't they? And they didn't get absolutely hammered by Warrington. I think maybe the trajectory is starting to lift. You know what I mean? Maybe they're starting to build some momentum. They got some good news stories. They got new signings going and all this kind of stuff. And I thought they were going to be too much for London, but I think they came in with the right attitude. They just weren't there, you know. And it was. I think it was just a close game skill wise. So yeah, I can't. You know, Hull didn't throw in the towel or seem to turn up and think, oh, this is going to be an easy win and all that kind of stuff. It was a very contested game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just thought Hull can kind of pick it up and crack on.
Yeah, and interestingly, Mike Eccles' press conference after the game has been picked up by a lot of people this week. He hasn't really spoke out, has he, about London's situation?
And I tell you why, because he's a class act.
Yeah, he is a class act.
He is a class act. And so are London. London are a class act. Because, you know, you watch the stuff they turn out on social media, it's all good quality, it's well edited, you know, and well put together. Some great stories, good qualities. None of this like, sometimes you see the club's press conferences and it's shit quality, the sound shit. I don't know what's going on with that, the composition of the video that's put together. London's is always crisp, good sound, well put together. And Mike Eccles always speaks well. And he's kept his mouth shut. You know, they're in my opinion, I think lots of other opinions, people will share this opinion. They've got fed like a massive shit sandwich, you know, at the start of the year. Yeah. And they just sort of took it on the chin and went, you know what, let's just do all our talking on the pitch. And all right, this is only their first win of the season. But, and now perhaps they're starting to ask, you know, people are sort of saying, well, maybe it wouldn't be a foregone conclusion. But I think lots of people think they'll bounce up and then bounce straight back down. But there is class in London. You know what I mean? And they wasn't given the opportunity to buy decent players and all that. But, go on.
Yeah, it's opened the IMG debate again, hasn't it?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's not a foregone conclusion that London would just bounce back down.
No.
You know, so Yeah, it's now he feels compelled to talk about it.
Yeah, it's sort of mentioned in his press conference that London got promoted last year. They didn't have a single Northerner in that squad. It was
70%.
all homegrown players with a few
sprinkling of overseas players. Yeah,
yeah, and essentially they're not got a chance to stay in Super League because the catchment area that they've been given, even though they're the only professional club in London. London isn't their catchment area. It's narrowed right down to like Richmond or whatever borough that they're in.
No, it's terrible. I mean, it's a handicap. It's a massive handicap for that aspect of the IMG. Don't get me wrong; they might be missing out on other aspects of the grading, different categories and what have you. But that they should be like top points.
Yeah,
you can't be in one of the most densely populated areas in the UK and get the score that they got. It's a massive handicap. I don't agree with it.
No, I think I probably agree with you there. Although I do still believe in what IMG are doing and everything else and how they're trying to raise the standards. You only got to look around some of the Super League grounds this year. Castleford have started putting seats in. I was at Odsult this week. They've got a big screen all of a sudden.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
So it's doing a lot of good. Social media is having a massive impact. I think clubs have really raised the game. So I do still believe in what the IMG grading is, but on that particular aspect with London, it feels wrong.
Well, I mean, I haven't dug into it, but maybe it's a bit of a where. Okay, they might give them points because the catchment area and all that, but it still doesn't change the grade or their final grade or whatever. So I don't know. But, I think there should be a bit of a rejig there. And an interesting press conference, Mike Eccles said, if the Super League want London to be involved, that something's got to happen, something's got to change, or words to that effect, paraphrasing. But and I agree with that. I'd like to see London in the Super League. I'd like to chat to some of the other players, like the whole players. Did they enjoy going down to the capital? All right, they lost, but did they enjoy it as an experience? I think the what's it called? The bloody the pitch. Fucking Pride. No, not Pride.
Hey, what?
What's it called? The ground.
What's the stadium called? Cherry Record Stadium?
No, well, yeah, but
Wimbledon. The area?
Yeah, there's the road. Anyway, fuck it. I think the ground is different to a lot of other grounds. You know what I mean? I think it's a great stadium. The pitch is immaculate, and I'm sure it's a mega. I mean, when we went down there and had that evening down there, apart from the fact it was like Baltic,
yeah,
it was an amazing experience, and I'm pretty sure the away players and teams have enjoyed it as well. So similar to when they went to Toronto.
It is a great experience for any northerner going to the capital. Yeah. It's like going to a foreign country, isn't it?
Well, it is a foreign country. That's why. It's miles away. It's you're into the realms of the south.
Yeah.
So anyway, great to see them get off the board. Fucking hell, that was a long tackle, wasn't it? But we just
yeah. Well, there's a lot to talk about. Well, move on to tackle 2 then. Something I didn't get to witness this year, but this week, Quantum Mania kicked off. So Quantum Mania, for anybody who doesn't know, is a team in our local area. Staffordshire Quantum's playing in the Midlands Merit League. They threw the kitchen sink at their opening game, and I'm going to tell you, they embarrassed some Super League teams with the pyrotechnics that they had. Well, I'll let you talk, Tyler, Craig. You went to witness it, didn't you?
Yeah, and I think everybody that went to see it and were 1, impressed, 2, excited, and 3, could kind of see what it was doing for the community. So I went as like a bit of, just a bit of an observer really. And I went to have a look at the pyrotechnics, obviously. And when it arrived, there was just a buzz. There was a buzz. You arrived and there's cars everywhere. You're like, fucking hell, this is brought people in, and you go in, and the Quantum's rugby club. It's quite a small club, with a little porter cabin, clubhouse, little porter cabin change rooms and all that. Single pitch from...
Yeah, there's just the one pitch.
Just one pitch. It's quite a small club, but there was a buzz around it. It was really busy, and we know what it's like to put on an event like that. It's hard graft, and I think they did some of it with a little bit tongue in cheek, but they should be proud of what they did, because it was an awesome day. And the Quantums had a massive team.
Yeah,
they had loads of players. Sherwood obviously always, turn out a good team. And, so they were really taking it serious. I think they were a little bit thankful that they could have been in Boston. I think originally they were supposed to be in Boston, but they were here at Stafford. There was bouncy castles, there was a jerk chicken stall, there was a couple of bars, there was a cake sale. We love a cake sale.
The slip and slide.
There was the slip and slide. I never witnessed that.
Yeah, that came out later on.
I did see the videos of that. And obviously, the Pyrotech, there was a Boy George tribute. It was great. I thought, it's all rugby players and all that, and there's a chance that Boy George might get absolutely heckled to bits. But that Boy George tribute, right? He was giving the lads shit on the pitch. You know what I mean? It was brilliant. I thought it was really good, and I'd have liked to see sort of more of him, because I'm pretty sure he'd have been a good, entertaining act as well. Yeah. And then, you had Martin de Ridder running around trying to orchestrate everything with a can of bloody Madry in his hand, and with his bucket hat on, and he was like, no, the pyrotechnics now. He's like Phoenix Nights, you know what I mean? Line them up. No, give it now, And it was just brilliant, and the crowd, me and Mark Austin, the referee, we tried to total people up. There was well over 100 at the start, and it grew as the event went on.
Yeah.
I don't know how many was there, but it was a spectacle, and it brought people in, and it can only be good for the community. I got chatting to Matt Willis-Croft, who's been on the who's a guest on the podcast. I got chatting to his sister. No real connection to rugby league, but now loves it and is very proud of her brother. And there's a few other people in the community that I don't know what they'd be doing
if they weren't there. Yeah.
But now they were there at that club. They were putting money across the bar. They were having a good laugh, and witnessing a great game. So hats off to the Quantums.
I just hope that this is seen far and wide, though. People should know about these Midlands teams and the sort of things that they're putting on. What a great start to the year we've already. And the teams up in Yorkshire and Lancashire will be doing nothing like this.
No, they won't, and because it's a little bit old hat for them, isn't it? You know what I mean? They've kind of seen it all before, and I think what happens is that everything's got like a settling point, right? And I think, those clubs up there, we was talking about it when we recorded the podcast earlier with Simon Groves, and he was sort of saying he travelled up to Manchester, wherever, and he saw people just in the park playing with a rugby ball. Now, you wouldn't see that necessarily in the Midlands, but you see it all the time up north. And they I think they take it for granted that, rugby league will always be a thing and it's a little bit of a religion up there. It's not down here. We've got to be doing stuff like that to promote the game, get people interested in the game, but also serve the clubs that are acting as hosts. Like that Rugeley Rugby Club, they value what they've got there in that rugby club. Like that pitch would have been a couple of dog walkers. Yeah. All of a sudden now you've perhaps got 200 folk putting money across the bar, and the facilities are getting used. So it's a great thing.
Yeah. So we get into the video. You've recorded a video, haven't we?
I did record a little bit of a video. So here we go. So there we go, and a little bit of a cameo appearance from my grandson there at the end. It was a great day. Complete hats off.
Looks awesome
to them. And when we were talking to Matt DeRiddy, and he was sort of saying, look, the fireworks are going to be ridiculous. Like, I knew they were like over the top, but here's an example of how powerful it was as like creating curiosity and getting people excited about something is, there were a lot of players there from Telford Raiders that they didn't have a game. They travelled across to watch this game.
Yeah.
So you got 7 or 8 people there, perhaps. I don't know how many were. They just went for a day out. You know what I mean? So if more clubs did things like this, then, they're better. And I think, sorry, I've been rattling on today, but Deep in Ducks, they reached out, they played their first game and they won their first game.
Yes.
And since that, I think they've seen what Quantums have done. They've realised what they've got up there in Market Deepin, and they're like, right, we can do more for the community here. We can get people excited about it. So
duck race or something like that.
Well, the duck race, they do the duck race, don't they?
Yeah.
Fucking huge by all accounts. So anyway.
So I'll go through the rest of the Midlands results then, shall I? I'll tell you why the Telford lads were there. Because they're playing Sherwood next week, so I think they'll probably get in their eye in and seeing how they go. So that should be a big game next week. So
that will be a big game.
Birmingham Bulldogs 34, Coventry Bears 42. The Leamington game, the Nottingham Outlaws, was postponed, which is unfortunate. They are going to be rearranging that, though.
Any idea why? I think Leamington have just caught up with players elsewhere.
I think there's a lot of Leamington players tied up with the Rugby Union Cup at the minute, which is unfortunate, which is something as Rugby League we've got to work out a way to combat somehow. Big result for Oxford Cavaliers, 64 points to 10 against Swindon. Didn't see that one.
No.
Swindon, I know they had big aspirations to go into like the SCL, so that their first game into the Midlands, and they've sort of been handed it to them by the Cavaliers. I know the Cavs have new coach, new personnel come in, so they could be really strong this year.
And I think there might be some clubs that have still got union players playing, or you know what I mean, not quite.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah,
sorted. So maybe it's early days, so we'll keep an eye on them.
Yeah. St Ives Roosters. Is it St Ives?
Yeah.
Played against Deepin Ducks. So as you just said, Deepin picked up their first win, 32 points to 26 in the Merit League. And then the Sherwood Wolfont beat the Quantums 56 points to 6.
Well, the other thing, just on the score there, I mean, the Quantums, I think they were quite realistic at the start. There was like, we'll keep them out for 10 minutes. Then I think we've done a good job. And they certainly, they competed. They didn't keep them out for 10 minutes. Well, they might have done, but they definitely competed for a lot longer than 10 minutes. I was really impressed. There were some little bits of skill that can be worked on. I think fitness is a big thing.
Yeah.
However, personally, I think they can hold the head up high, and they were outclassed in certain aspects, and there were some good quality players considering it was a merit game, and Sherwood, they're just set up, aren't they? So,
they had quite a few first team players in there as well, really. Nottingham Outlaws, although they didn't play Leamington, they did then rearrange a game with Bedford's A team. Easily won that 88 points to 8, so they could be very strong this year. Makes the Midlands League all more exciting. I can't wait to see who comes out on top of that this year.
Okay, so moving on, outside the heartland still, Cornwall pick up the first win.
Yeah, so this was, although you may not say that this is a huge surprise, Midlands Hurricanes have been going really strong this year. And to put this into perspective, they put 60 points on Cornwall in the last game at Cornwall.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody saw this result coming. The travel.
I didn't. Especially after the score last week, I just thought, right, we're going. We're getting some momentum. We're going.
Yeah.
It wasn't that.
Yeah, Midlands beat Workington in Workington last week, and quite convincingly, may I add. And I think that they're on a run here where they had sort of Cornwall. I think they've got Newcastle next week. So what they would probably consider some easier fixtures to start pushing themselves up the table, and Cornwall rocked up to the Alexander, had different ideas and turned them over, and it was a big shock result, really.
But it's a bit of history repeating itself. This happened about this time last year. I don't know if you remember, but like Cornwall and done particularly well. In fact, they've not had they'd not had a home game for ages, had they? And then they played the Hurricanes and beat the Hurricanes, and then went on did relatively well. So it's a bit of history repeating itself there.
So it's sort of 22 points to 12 it was to the Hurricanes at half time. Fairly convincing. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was 22 points to 12. Quite a close second half. Midlands had Blake Broadbent. He was sin-binned in the last sort of 10 minutes for a late shot on one of the Cornwall players. And then Cornwall nicked 2 tries, and 78th minute, the last try was Cameron Brown scored in 78th minute, and then he converted his own try to win the game, 24 points to 22.
Yeah, and that's just sort of changed if we look at the Betfred League table now, Oldham sitting top with Keighley with the game in hand.
Yeah.
But, both doing really well. Huns at Rochdale, Workington. Anything to say on the top of the table there, Karl, before I move on to...
I mean, Oldham are 100% the favourites to win. If they don't win that league, there's something wrong. Like I say, Midlands give Oldham a game the other week.
Yeah.
So again, that makes this result even more surprising, really. I think it'll probably stay very similar to that. That you may get Hurricanes or Crusaders push themselves into that top 5. Maybe Workington or Rochdale drop out. The bottom end of the table, Newcastle are going to be struggling. I sadly can't see them picking a win up this year. But hopefully Cornwall will be looking to push on from that win this week.
Yeah, I think Newcastle, they're lucky to be in the league.
They're lucky just to have a team, aren't they? Yeah. Just to be in existence at the minute. We are going to have a new side in League One next year.
Yeah.
I've heard rumours. I kind of have an idea it could be. Can
you share the rumours?
I don't know, actually.
I don't know, right? Tell me fair.
I don't know.
Mouth it to me now.
I better not say, just in case.
Okay, all right. So moving on to the next game. So Wigan, women's team ran over 100 points past Huddersfield.
So this is becoming a bit of a repeated pattern now in the Women's Super League. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been looking at the results. You've got a top 4 sort of really strong teams. Leeds, St Helens, York Valkyrie, Wigan. They seem to be a million miles off the bottom teams.
And what's your take on this, Karl? Are they just picking up the best players and therefore outclassing other teams?
It's getting to the point out there where they're starting to pay their players, so they're sort of signing them on almost semi-pro contracts, aren't they?
And therefore training 2 or 3 times a week or whatever it is.
Yeah, they're just picking up all the best players from around the league. If you're a female player, obviously you want to be getting paid to play, and if an opportunity comes to play for Leeds or St Helens or Wigan, obviously that's where you're going to go. But it's not good for the league at the minute, and it's a huge gap between the bottom teams and the top teams.
Yeah, for a team to be putting 100 points past you, I mean, it's, I don't know what the time is, but it's pretty much back-to-back tries, non-stop, players just walking through the other team. Quite demoralising. We know it's a point in the game where teams need to get established, but hard work for those teams that are on the receiving end of a battering. I don't know what I can do really just to bridge that gap.
No,
like a cap on recruitment, or
I don't know what the answer is really.
No, I mean you got to share the resources, haven't you? Or attract.
Or do you say that like potentially the Huddersfield, Barrow have done okay? They only came up last year. I don't know. Should they be in that league? Should they make the league smaller? What's your opinion? Is it better having a big league, but there's a big gap between the teams, or do you think it's better reducing the size of the league?
I don't think reducing the size of the league is right. Because you end up playing the same teams and those teams get better and better. Whereas those teams are struggling, they're still getting exposure to a elite level, sport.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I think we'll bring those standards up if they can keep people interested and all that. So I don't know what it is. I think the obvious solution would be to start diluting the domestic teams with much better outside players, but the money's not there.
No.
You know, another solution is, like you said, to turn some of these other teams into pro teams so that they can get more time on the training pitch, more time playing together, better conditioning, you know, better fitness and all that kind of thing. But the money's not there. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg thing at the minute. So maybe we just need a couple of seasons where there's some spankings going on to allow these other teams to get more established. Well,
maybe some of the other Super League teams may start treating it a little bit more seriously. Maybe they will start paying players.
But I don't know. I don't know if the money's there. Like, I don't know. Unless the RFL can find a pot of money to help promote the game and to bridge that gap. I don't know what the answers are really. But it's a great conversational piece. So, what do you think in the comments?
Did you see any of the Leeds in York game this week? So that was a repeat of last year's final. Leeds looked really strong. So as York came out on top last year, it was the other way around this year. Leeds looked great. Caitlin Casey, it was one of the youngest players in the Leeds team. She was pretty new into the side last year, wasn't she? Yeah. She just pulled the strings all day.
Did she?
Yeah, really controlled that team. And some of the older players in the Leeds team now, you can almost sort of see they're coming towards the end of their careers, but they can still put shift in. But it's this new talent of players that are coming through, sort of semi-professional players that are. Yeah, she was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Maybe that is a solution. You get the players that are perhaps they're getting a little bit, they're getting ready to retire or whatever, and then what they might do is drop out some of the top flight teams into some of the, the less established teams. Take a load of experience and professionalism and all that. How to act like a top level player to one of these other teams.
I think you've got. I think Amy Hardcastle's involved with Halifax now.
Yeah.
So I think she'd be probably. I don't know how many seasons she's got left in her, but maybe that's looking to develop the Halifax squad. It was a good final. Look, sorry, it was a good game. But Leeds were far too strong for York. York didn't seem the team that they finished with last year. They weren't at the races really.
Okay, before we move on, I just want to give a little bit of a plug to our last pod. We did an Access All Areas episode on the Midlands Nines Festival, the festival that Karl and I put on a couple of weeks ago now. See, it seems like bloody 6 months already, but
I'm still recovering.
It was a real... we've had lots of great feedback about the episode. If you've not listened to it yet, go and have a listen. There's loads of rugby league banter and interesting stories there. So you'll find that on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications. Right, moving on, Karl. The next story.
So we'll stay with women's rugby then, and it's the State of Origin is this week, Craig. This Thursday. I can't wait for it. I'm definitely tuning in for this.
I love women's State of Origin. Right, honestly. I love it. It's a game that I can just watch because it's women's sport done at a high level.
Oh yeah,
with like complete disregard for their bodies. High levels of skill, very very competitive. I just love watching it.
Do you know what I like about the State of Origin? It's all the trash talking that goes on the week before. So it didn't really exist much.
No.
In the first two women's Origin series, but I've noticed that in the Australian press this week, there's a bit of niggle in there. There's a bit of sledging going on, just like it happens in the men's. And I can't wait. So it's going to be played at Suncorp Stadium. This is standalone fixture. This is as well.
Yeah.
I think 18,000 was the highest recorded crowd last year, which was at Townsville.
Yeah,
they're hoping that they're going to smash that this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if you sort of start seeing sort of 25,000, 30,000 packing to Suncorp for this one this week. Queensland are the favourites. They've won the last two Origin series, so it'll be really interesting to see where we go with it.
Who's I've never really asked you, have I, who your State of Origin team is?
Right. Well, is it right to have changed?
Oof.
I know.
There's a whole Williams week.
I tell you what. So I used to, our club colours when I played for Whipsy, our kit was based on Queensland. Right. We're maroon and white, so we would cross between like a Manly kit or a Queensland kit. And I used to love Alfie Langer.
Right.
He was like my hero when I was like younger. I used to love watching him play. Hard as nails, great little kicking game, grubby.
Legend.
Yeah, so I always liked Queensland. And for years and years and years, it was always, I was getting up in the morning, I wanted to watch Queensland win. As I started getting older, I started rooting for the underdog and I wanted New South Wales to win. And so for years then, I started almost wanting New South Wales to win. I kind of got fed up with the sort of Billy Slater, Jonathan Thurston dominating rugby league. So, and now I just
Cam Smith.
Now I'm not really bothered. I'm just I just like to watch it really.
Right. Well, I'll tell you my thing is I can't bring myself to support Queensland. Right. Here's why.
Go on.
So obviously I was in the Marines. Right. Our sort of arch rivals are the parachute regiment. Okay, and everything for them is like maroon. It's just like sickening the amount of maroon that you can always spot a para because they'll have a maroon t-shirt, pair of jeans, and some desert boots on. Right, it's just their uniform when they're not in uniform, and you can spot them a mile. Everything's maroon, this, maroon that, maroon t-shirt, maroon jumper, maroon machine, all this, and it just I cannot wear it. I cannot wear it. I cannot even consider supporting a team that has anything to do with maroon. It's just, you know what I mean? It's like like ingrained inside me. So I can't follow Queensland. So I follow New South Wales, and my favourite colour is like sky blue. So it's just perfect. You know what I mean? And like you, I love a bit of an underdog as well. So that's why I'm a New South Wales supporter.
Yeah, but they're not really underdogs anymore, are they?
No,
you can kind of go either way because they had that period, didn't they, about 10 years. It was just pretty much Queensland every year, wasn't it? But either way now. So looking forward to watching that this week.
So you're saying Queensland are the favourites in this women's state of origin then?
Yes, they've won the first two.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that, 10 o'clock on Thursday. So watch out for that, or stick it on the old record if you're at work. Next story then. So sticking with the internationals, we've got Greece to play in Norway in Athens.
Yeah, just announced this week. So it's almost breaking news. This is really, should have used the old yellow banner for this one. Full international, 4 international ranking points. Going to be played in Athens on the 25th of May. And it sort of culminates, it's at the end of Greece's season, their domestic season. So they're going to finish the domestic games and they're going to have this international. It's pretty much all domestic players as well that's going to be in this Greece team.
Nice.
And they'll be playing Norway, and the women the week before are also going to be taking on Serbia. So it's just great to see European Rugby League continuing to get these internationals on. It just begs the question, Craig, if they can get in internationals on in Greece and Serbia, why aren't we having flipping Wales and Ireland and Scotland?
Yeah, home nations.
Playing internationals. It's annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying. And I think there's going to be a few international teams scrambling to try and get these ranking points, these games under the belt to get these ranking points, as we progress towards like the World Cup and, to get some kind of involvement in that. But you're right, we need these international games.
It's good to see that it's going on though, because essentially these teams aren't going to be involved in the World Cup.
No,
the World Cup's been stripped down.
Well, not yet, but who knows in 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, you just don't know.
Yeah, true. I think that's one of the biggest disappointments of this World Cup, that it's going to be a lot smaller competition. However, if they're all playing, European countries are all playing meaningful internationals, hopefully we can have some sort of European Cup take place at the same time as a World Cup or something similar. That'd be great to see. And it's just good to see the game is growing. I mean, somebody involved in Norway Rugby League. Yeah,
so our friend Tim Jones, part of the coaching setup there with the Norway team. I know he's impressed with the way they apply themselves and how they're going about the business.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of experience in rugby league, and for him to be kind of impressed and to be backing them, it can only be a good thing. So, good luck, Tim, if you're involved in that game.
We'll move on to our last tackle then, Williams Weekly. So what have you got for us this week, Craig?
Well, after London's first win and the fact that Mike Eccles is clearly like a class act, he talks well, he could have had like a bitch fest right at the start of the season. He could have played the victim, as many people. That's how people win nowadays, isn't it? By being the victim in many different aspects of life. And he didn't do any of that. He just just applied himself with his training throughout, consummate professional. And for that, I think he's a class act. And so my question is, like, will Mike Eccles be at London next year? We know London they're going to be relegated this year, because of IMG points, if nothing else. And I just think, are there other clubs, maybe even in different countries, that have got their eye on Mike Eccles for what he's done? I suppose we need to supersede this by saying, has he done a good job with the resources that he's got?
Oh, he's 100% done a good job. It was unfortunate we ain't got comments on this week, but he's 100% done a good job. He's been involved with London right down to the academy. They did have an elite academy before. They don't have it now, but he's been involved with that setup right through the rankings. They've brought loads of young talent through, and that's the biggest success of London. And I think if they had a few more years, we would start to see them reap the rewards for that. To answer your question, there is a team, I believe, that could do with a Mike Eccles.
Right.
And they turned them over this weekend.
Yeah.
Hull FC. Oh, that is, to me, is a good fit.
Yeah, just on a slightly different one with Hull FC. I saw a comment before, and it was like, good luck to the incoming Hull FC coach after Richie Myler's picked your team for you. And I thought, that's a real interesting point. That, you know what I mean? If they're snapping up players and trying to create this team, like in isolation of a new head coach, whether it's Simon Griggs or whatever, I don't know. Like there's lots of weird stuff going on there. It's a bit of a chicken and egg thing. Anyway,
Hull are suffering though, because they haven't brought youth through into that team for a number of years now.
Really?
I don't think they have.
I don't think they brought a lot of youth.
Name a strong player that's come through the Hull FC youth system in last
Jordan Lane, is he? Joe Cater?
I think they need to start on the groundwork and build they need a stronger academy. That's why I'm saying Mike Eccles fits that role quite well.
Do you know what impresses me with Mike Eccles is he believes in London Rugby League from the outset. We don't know. I've never met him, but he believes in it. He seems to believe in it because he was very proud of the fact that they got promoted with 70% homegrown players, with a sprinkling of foreign players in there as well. So he gets it. And I think there's other teams perhaps outside the heartlands where they're trying to, they're bringing in northern players. They think the strength's in the northern players or established players and all that kind of thing. But he's backed himself, or he's backed the team, and he's gone for homegrown players there as the bulk of the team, and that has a lot. I think that's a lot of sway in your crowd. Your support, the way people support you, but also belief, perhaps some wider aspects of the game, like the RFL must look at it and think, right, they have done it with 70% homegrown players. You know what I mean? They're not bringing in all these northerners as London have done in the past. You know what I mean? They brought in some massive talent from top north before, and they haven't done it this way. So if he could translate that to Hull, and create something for their crowd to get behind, because I think they're losing them in droves. They're certainly booing. They were booing at the weekend, and whether you think that's right or wrong, it's how they feel. And so if he can create something for people to start to believe in, then it's definitely an asset for another team.
Just touching on Hull then
again,
and well, the hottest talking point in Super League out there really at the minute.
Yeah, who
do you think they will get in that job? They've already been turned down by all accounts. Paul Rowley said no. Brian McDermott said no.
Danny Maguire's like, no way, not ready.
Yeah,
he's red through and through. I don't know, because it's a bit of a poison chalice, isn't it? Because whoever comes in, they've got to be willing to either, for it to be like make or break, literally.
Yeah.
Because if it don't go right within a few months, bang, they're out. You know what I mean? And they'll say, all right, yeah, it was just an interim phase. And now we're going to get like a, you know.
Yeah, and that is the other point. Richie Myler is kind of picking your team for you at the minute. I know the need to sign players. It does feel a bit rushed. Sign Zach Hardacre.
Yeah, but
are they looking for some experienced heads?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's lots of suggestions that there's lots of dealings going on with Lee. You know, and you know, is there wider stuff going? But I think so much is getting leaked and what have you. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how it unfolds. I couldn't even say who's going to get that job because I don't know who would want it. You know, I think it's either someone who's pretty much done everything in the game and want a challenge, or someone who's yet to get established and it's make or break. It is a massive opportunity. So. Let's grasp it, but yeah, you're under a bit of a kicking, really.
Yeah, difficult one, very difficult one that is.
Yeah, and I think going back to our original like Williams weeklies, like with Mike Eccles,
do you think he'll stay with London if they go down?
No, I don't think they will. I think it's proved that he can cut it. You know, a different level, and I think he'll want to be at that level as everybody wants to progress. Yeah. He's not from London, you know what I mean? He's not got an allegiance to London in that way. But I don't think he'll be jumping at the whole job.
No, I mean, we don't know how long he's got on his contract either, do we? So
no.
I would have thought he's a man of his word. If he's got a 2-year contract, he'll more than likely stay it out.
Yeah, and I think even if he just goes and you know ends up as like an assistant coach at a top level, you know, like a Catalan, you know what I mean? Assistant coach at Catalan or assistant coach, you know, somewhere else like that. I don't know. Or maybe I'll be recruited as a bit of a promotion expert because, you know, like Wakey or, you know what I mean? He's done it. He's experienced what it's like to get thrown into the Super League, you know. So I don't know. It's definitely an interesting point, and he's definitely one to watch in the future, I think.
Yeah, we'll move on then to the big 6 fixtures this week.
Yeah, so you picked out 6 big fixtures for people to watch out for. Tell us what you picked and why.
Right, so I've picked a bit of a sprinkling of Super League fixtures and local games. So the first game, Bristol All Golds versus the West's Warriors in the Southern Conference League. West's lost to Hammersmith Hills Hoist Triple H this weekend in a top versus second battle in the Southern Conference League. So this is 2nd v 3rd. Bristol will be wanting to show that they've got that.
Yeah.
They can mix it with the top 2. So this one should be a really interesting game this weekend. In the Midlands League, you've got Telford Raiders versus Sherwood Wolfhunt. First game for both these sides, I believe. I think they both had a bye last week.
Yeah, obviously Raiders Midlands champions last year. Sherwood
first time back into the Midlands League. Yeah. Already picked up silverware this year, winning the Midlands Nines.
The prestigious inaugural, you can't bend it,
biggest fucking trophy in Rugby League.
Right.
Yeah, so
speaking of biggest trophy in Rugby League, they haven't said the Challenge Cup's not there yet, so we're still clear.
We're still waiting for an open box this week on semi-final week. Challenge Cup time then. Hull KR versus Wigan.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to come out on top of that one?
Oh, I think Wigan, but I'd love Hull KR.
It's at Hull KR.
Yeah, no, I know. And Hull KR, they did have a bit of a shitter this week. Whereas Hull just wrong. We're going to go on about the business out there and doing what they do. So it's going to be a hard fought game. I think we're going to pip them to the post. So, but you know, it's the cup, and as we know, anything can happen.
And then the women's semi-finals, and the big 4 that we've already spoke about. So St Helens versus York Valkyrie should be a cracker.
Hell of a game.
And then we've got Wigan against Leeds in the other semi-final. Again, should be an absolute cracker. Really looking forward to the Women's Challenge Cup final this year at Wembley again. You're going to get a great fixture.
Yeah.
Whoever, I couldn't call that. And then we'll be at this one, Giants versus Warrington.
Yeah.
The other men's semi-final.
Hard to call.
Yeah, it is hard to call, that one.
Yeah, it's really hard to call. I think Giants have just massively improved.
I don't know what you're going to get with you, but they were crap again this week.
Yeah, Warrington, brilliant last week. I thought they were really good. Geordie Crowther, I think we just kept sacking Mikey Lewis every time he got the ball.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
They were just real good outfit.
So yeah, that's the big six that I've picked for this week. Bit of a mixture between women's, men's, and community fixtures.
Yeah, so look out for those games. Also look out for our podcast episode coming out on Thursday. Well, we're hoping to have out Thursday, so excuse us if we don't. We interviewed Simon Groves of Tag Rugby League in Leamington, or Coventry, Warwickshire.
Yeah.
Was it Coventry? Warwickshire area.
Coventry and Warwickshire area.
Yeah, really interesting. Like talking about tag rugby, it does differ from touch rugby. How you can get involved, the benefits to a club and to players, and also talking about putting together an over 50s GB representative team. Really, really interesting conversation. What did you take from it, Karl?
Just how many tiers there actually is in tag rugby. There's so many. Age ranges going on. It's social and competitive. It's all over the country. See, it's much bigger than I thought it was. That's the first thing I took away from it.
Yeah, so really interesting episode. So make sure you tune in for that. And any final words, Karl?
No, we will have.
You always say no, and then you always have final words.
Yeah, I know, because you always catch me out. It's like you just throw it in there. Predictions round this week. Mate, you took a beating last week. 48 points to 43 it is now. You've got some catching up. And seeing as we've only got 2 fixtures this week, because it's Challenge Cup week.
I'm doomed.
Yeah. So, yeah, stay tuned for that episode as well. We'll have a bit of an in-depth look at the Challenge Cup fixtures this weekend.
Brilliant. So thanks for joining us. And until next time, take care.